My practice looks into the relationships and dynamics between the human and more than human worlds, mostly in relation to the future of the planet, but more specifically the future of the Gulf. This is my second time in العلا, and for me, العلا, it seems to me like you need to spend a lot of time in it in order for the desert to share its own secrets. And this residency has actually helped a lot into navigating through like new realities and new findings in relation to like discoveries that has to do with the different civilization that has lived either in العلا and even Khaybar. For me, in this research, like I wanted to focus on these different civilizations and how to sort of like weave them together, basically, in order to make sense of, let's say, the gaps, because there is a lot of like missing information in terms of like, who lived, for example, in the places like the Mustatil or, these sort of new findings, but also like things that has to do with like, even recent civilizations that are still missing. For me, like I'm trying to come up with a story that bridges these like realities and these factual informations and findings, and just fill these gaps with fiction, obviously, to sort of like create a more coherent story that makes what's actually happening here more fathomable in some kind of sense. So this is kind of really exciting, but also like at the same time it's almost like hard to grasp because of like the size of it. So it's meeting with some of the archaeologists and some of the scientists, and just has been really helpful to understand also like the perspective and like how they actually trying to decipher a lot of these information, a lot of these findings, and to be part of that. So we are like basically in the last days of the residency, and for me the conclusion that came like through just visiting and like looking at these different archaeological sites is I really felt the need of like connecting them together into this narrative that for example, like the tombs of Hijra are not just only tombs, but actually they're gates to different dimensions. So is like the Dadanic graves, and so is like those structures that you find in Khaybar. So for me, like the sort of like the narrative says that there is like a shared heritage that was actually handed down from like the area, like earliest civilization to the ones until the recent Nabateans. And only for me like that to just make sense of like this big, I would call like hyper object of history that is like completely unexplored yet.